Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me over here today in good old London town. I'm thrilled with the weather today. It's a beautiful October morning, ideal for filming this incredible Grade 2 listed Georgian townhouse for you. Now I want to crack on with this, but first let me give you a little bit of background. I've been chatting with the owners of this home for quite a while now, and I'm really pleased they've allowed us to film it. It really is one of East London's best kept Georgian secrets. And please bear in mind as we wander through the 4 bedrooms, bathroom, shower room, beautiful reception rooms, kitchen and breakfast room, that this was the owner's first property project. I can't tell you how atmospheric this home is. The attention to detail is worthy of a Georgian Group Award, in my opinion anyway. The house is in Shadwell, just a few minutes walk to the City of London. We're on Cable Street, which has got, where we're currently sat, some excellent transport links. We've got Shadwell DLR and the Overline just 3 minutes walk that way. And if you head further along Cable Street that way, you'll arrive at Tower Hill Tube, right next to the Tower of London and Tower Bridge. The room I'm sat in, by the way, is sublime. It's the kind of room that just takes you somewhere, really. It connects you with the history. It really comes to life. I just love it. Now, there are 3 reasons I hope you stick around to watch this video. 1, I don't think you're going to find a home like this anywhere on YouTube. 2, I have the pleasure of Stephen joining me on this tour, offering his wisdom, technical and historic insights into the finer points of the conservation work. And 3, if you are seriously in the market for a property purchase at the moment and you're looking for a faithfully preserved historic home, let's talk. This could be potentially something that would be available to buy if you were interested. So perhaps email me to start with, simon@uniqueproperty.tv, and we can talk through the detail and arrange potentially a private viewing with either myself or Stephen. Okay, if you like the sound of all that, join us outside now and we'll kick off the tour. Okay, you join us outside and here is the house in question. It is a fabulously finished frontage, lots of authenticity, lots of attention to detail. And Stephen, what are your first thoughts?
Well, first thoughts, thank you. Thank you and good morning. And I think this is a fantastic opportunity to see this house, and I'm so pleased that I've been allowed to come in here. Hopefully we'll have a cup of tea in the basement a little bit later on, but so far it's fantastic. And it's just out of interest that this is my home patch, Cable Street. My grandmother was born 300 yards from this house, just off the highway in Lavender Place, and I've just walked down there and paced it out, and it is about 300 metres, 300 yards thereabouts. So I feel kind of I feel at home with
nostalgic
with being here. You know, don't make me cry. No, I don't feel like that really. It's just that I know this area so well, and it's fantastic that this little block of buildings still survives, and it gives you a flavour of what this part of London was like, because if you go the other side of Ratcliffe Highway, you'll go down to Tobacco Dock, which was built around about 1800. Tobacco Dock was completed in 1801, and they've got this massive wall there which was built as a safeguard for all the rum and the expensive stuff inside, so it wouldn't be stolen. So when I went down there earlier on and looked at this kind of massive wall, and the cobblestones are still there, I know that my grandmother would have walked along, and all my family would have walked along that section of the docks. And it turns out that my grandmother's father was a ship's carpenter, so maybe that's where I get some of the skills.
Can you share that story about Cable Street, how it got its name? That's
Well,
fascinating.
Cable Street is actually divided up into a number of different sections, and what's important about Cable Street is that it is in one long length, and it had different names at different sections. Now, I had looked this up this morning, because I thought that what I told you the other day was just bonkers, and it might be. But in the London Encyclopedia on architecture, it said that this was the longest, one of the straightest streets for laying out cables and ropes and chains, and so that's how it got its name. But I know that behind this building here is the railway viaduct, which was built in around about 1840, maybe something like that. But it goes down to Shadwell Basin, and at Shadwell Basin is where all the gunpowder came in from the gunpowder works in Northam Abbey. So they had a railway network which ran from there to the Tower of London, which was pulled by rope rather than a mechanical steam engine, because there was fears of the gunpowder exploding. Obviously, you have tons of barrels of gunpowder being transported along here, and that would have been when they had flintlock rifles and they were storing the armoury was down at Tower of London. So this would have been a quite hazardous route, but I think it's probably more to do with the nautical element rather than it is to do with the rope-pulled railway carriages on the railway viaduct.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, you can choose really whichever you prefer. You know.
So your thoughts, house? What do you think?
House, I think it's great, and it's obvious that we have symmetry in that building and this building here. The door cases were added later. But the layout with the doors either side of a mews, which apparently ran through to a dairy at one stage, and we've got Hawksmoor Church, which is just behind here. So I think this whole area of the Docklands was developing with this really powerful statement of religion as far as the Hawksmoor Church is concerned, and then behind it we've got this rather nice terrace, and I think this could have been built for merchants or sailors or whatever, but it was a high status row of buildings, 1770, and there would have presumably been buildings on the other side of the road that would have been demolished for when the railway came in the 1840s. But magnificent building, fantastic. I've always liked this building, and it's got a little bit of kind of wear and tear to it, which is what you would expect, especially considering that the docks were heavily bombed during the Second World War.
Is that a reference to the typing up there, do you think?
No, I think that's to do with settlement really, because when you're building with, this is built out of lime and brick, you find that on a building like this where you've got one basement, 1, 2, 3 floors, the walls tend to kind of serpentine up a bit, belly out, and there looks like there was a kind of concern about the bays in between the two windows. It's the weakest part of the construction, and it's quite a narrow house. And the ties have been put in there, the rods run right through the house, got a nut and bolt this end, and you've got a big wall plate on the back which holds the back of the house, and it's all been screwed together, but there's no deflection. The only deflection you've got is when you look up the wall, all the perpendiculars of the bricks are all in line, there are no broken bricks, there's no evidence of having it been re-bricked, bit of work around the window head there, but you'll see that where the wall ties have actually gripped the building so tight that they've actually probably pulled it in, because lime has this ability to actually reset in its kind of happiest position, and this building is quite happy. And the rest of the bricks in the arch look quite happy. There's no splitting and damage, and importantly there's no cracks in the brick above that crack on the window head, so there's nothing really happening there. The interesting thing I pointed out the other day to Simon is that on the left hand side of the window here, if you count down there are 12 bricks, and on the right hand side if you count down there are 11, so there's 1 brick difference in that section of the window there. And what's happened at some stage is that this side has dropped. Now, bearing in mind that these two buildings were built first of all, and the rainwater from the front parapet discharges in that rainwater pipe there, and this one here. So when these were built, there was always an ingress of water at this particular point on both sides, and if they hadn't chosen the land properly to build as far as they're coming down here, they must have chosen this section because it was the best place to build in the first place. But maybe they were a little bit lax here, because this is settlement that has happened as they're built, or fairly early on in the stage of this construction. So it's dropped by 4 inches, which is the depth of a brick, isn't a problem. And over the years what's happened is that various occupants of the houses haven't adjusted the front of the building to that degree, but they've made adjustments inside, and I'll point those out as we go round. But if we have a look at the windowsill here, you'll see that that's a Portland windowsill, and it's got a crack in the middle, which is historic, and you'll see that there's some bricks have been replaced underneath the windowsill to level that windowsill. So the windowsill has been adjusted, and you can make these adjustments to the houses, providing you've still got your lime mortar, because you can rake out your lime mortar, you can adjust your brickwork, you can cut them, you can put slice in, you can put a piece of creasing tile in there, you can do a whole load of repairs with the lime and the bricks, providing it's not in cement. If it's in cement, it's too hard, it grips the bricks, and you end up breaking bricks. Here you can do these repairs by taking sections out and rebuilding it. And as I say, this is historical, it doesn't worry me. It's got paving stones at the flat, got a light well, rather nice railings, which I think were probably Victorian rather than the original Georgian ones. Because we have a different kind of detailing on the end here, and you'll notice this is probably faux as well, but the Georgians like to go for these kind of delicate urns, and here we've got something which is quite substantial, but I don't know really, I'd stand to be corrected on this, but that bracket there looks Victorian to me rather than Georgian. But anyway, it's part of its history, you can't change it, it's listed, it's all part of being listed, is that the building, the curtilage from here to the back wall and from sideboard to sideboard, party wall to party wall is all grade 2 listed, and you cannot make any alterations to the fabric of the building without listed building consent. And that's what's so important, is that conservation officers are set up to advise and to help, and they see so many buildings that they can understand the mechanics of what you're trying to achieve, and they can advise you as to what is the best practice for a building. But is conservation rather than restoration.
Your mantra.
My mantra, yes.
Should we head inside?
Yeah, if we can just look at this faux cannon that we've got on the end here. These bollards were used as securing vulnerable parts of buildings back in the day, and this one isn't, because this has got a square end on it, but these were, after the Battle of Waterloo, you have lots of cannon which are redundant, which have been damaged, been salvaged, and would be melted down, or they would put them in the pavement, fill them full of concrete, and sometimes cement in or mortar in a cannonball in the end of it, so you have a round top. And if we just scan round to that one, that's a modern version of an old cannon. You see it's got a slightly domed top. That's where they would have put in the cannonball in the top, but that's just a modern. These things are quite interesting, how they, over time, they just kind of morph into something else, and you would never realise that that shape came from a cannon. I need to do a research paper just on bollards.